Okay, today we're going to deal with organizations, and there's some issues that have been going on for quite a while with many of the black organizations, and we're going to deal with a few of those issues and help you understand why with so many black organizations the situation in the black community appears to be getting worse every time you look at the news, every time you look at the situations going on with the children in the streets. It just seems like it's getting worse and worse, yet there are more and more organizations popping up every day. And there are three basic situations going on with these black organizations. That's been going on for since at least the 1950s. Okay, so the first one, of course, occurred in the 1950s. You had white individuals, white organizations, but mostly white individuals, and they began infiltrating black organizations. And they did this in several different ways, but it didn't matter which way they did it, the effects were always the same. To steer black people away from self-sufficiency and away from actually solving black problems, and steer them toward political positions where that white people needed them to be in order for whites to maintain political power in certain areas. That's all it was for, was to steer black votes. And you'll see a lot of the people that infiltrate black organizations usually do it around election time. And those individuals are there simply to win elections and win seats in the different local, state, and federal elections. Okay? So that's the first thing that started occurring. The second thing that happened with black organizations, as many of you complain about a lot, I hear you always talking about it, yet when you decide to start an organization, the first thing you do is the same thing. But you guys talk about the whole 501c3 thing and nonprofit and all this good stuff. And as much as you, and badly as you talk about the black organizations that are 501c3, I see it all the time that the minute you guys that are talking about it decide to do an organization, the first thing you talk about being and start becoming is 501c3. You talk about the churches really bad, the black churches, but you do the same thing. And the 501c3 application, if you will, has a section in there where you cannot discriminate. Now, if you're privately funded, you're community funded black organization, you can make it a black organization, period. And yes, you may have people that try to challenge you on that, but it's very, very easy to win in court when you have people come in and challenge the fact that you're a black organization. You just have to be able to present yourself, your case, in a way that helps people understand. Because remember, white people, 99% of their lives are spent with only white people. You got white people that have no problem going to an event that have no black people. And that's the kind of things that you need to bring up in court when you're challenged by a white person or a white organization about being a black organization. Okay? But what happens with the 501c3 thing, it says you can't discriminate. You have to accept everything. That's what that means. And that is what made you start uh, letting people in that started devastating your agenda. They started bringing in their own agenda, and you had to let them in. Um, the third thing, this is extreme pain that I'm under today, but the third thing is that you guys started spending more time chasing money than actually fixing problems. And yes, it does take a certain amount of capital, a certain amount of money to do flyers and events and all kinds of things. But it got to the point by 1965 where black organizations were spending 86% of their time just dealing with fundraising and chasing money. Now, white organizations do the same thing, but we're not talking about white organizations. We're talking about black organizations. And black organizations cannot afford to spend that much time chasing money because you don't get to do anything else. You sit in meetings for 10% of your time. You spend 86% of your time chasing money. That leaves 4% of your time for actually trying to fix things. And then you still have white people there to try and steer you and distract you away from spending even that 4%. And they try to get you to jump onto white agendas and craziness that have nothing to do with the daily lives of black people. And you end up, by the time it's done, most organizations spend less than 1% of their actual time actually out there trying to fix the situations in the black community. Excuse me. That's why you see so little effectiveness from 98% of the organizations. That right there is in a nutshell, why things seem to be getting worse. Because if you have 98% of black organizations, and remember, organizations are popping up almost every day, and if you have 98% of those organizations are spending their time, spending less than 1% of their time actually working on fixing things, then that will give you an idea of why it doesn't get fixed. Okay, hopefully it gives you an idea. It also makes the 2% of organizations that are trying to actually fix things and spending the majority of their time on trying to fix things almost irrelevant, because, or at least less relevant, because they just don't have the, well, I can't say they don't have the ability. Anybody has the ability to make an impact, and they do make those 2% make a huge impact. They're one of the reasons that white folks don't have black folks back in chains and cotton picking and, sun up to sun down like they used to. Because believe me, if whites had the ability and was able to get black folks back in full 100% chain around your neck slavery, and we're going to talk about we're going to have a show where you guys are allowing white organizations that infiltrate you and white organizations that you see to equate everything under the sun with slavery. They're equating going to work and getting a paycheck with slavery. And you guys have got to stop every time you see that, you need to protest that. You need to say something about that. You need to get that, send letters to that organization to cease and desist that, because what they're doing is they're minimizing the impact that slavery actually had on black people. Every time you see them talk about their shows where everybody's calling this show and that show the new black. They got a thing where gays are the new black. No, they're not. You are born black. You don't get to change from being black. At any point, you can hide the fact that you're homosexual. At any time, you can change the fact that you deal with the same sex. You cannot change the fact that you're black. So y'all need to stop. Y'all need to send letters for them to cease and desist. When you talk about the prison situation, and there's some show called Orange is the New Black. No, black has always been the black. That's where you just say that orange is the new black. Y'all should have sent letters for them to cease and desist that. Because being in prison as a white person is nothing like being in prison as a black person. Being in jail as a white person is nothing like being in jail as a black person. Even being arrested as a white person is nothing like being arrested as a black person. Y'all need to have them cease and desist. If you guys are not sending those letters for them to cease and desist on these things, because they only do what you let them get away with. If you do not send letters, then you are one of those 98% of organizations that have allowed yourself to become ineffective. You've allowed yourself to be infiltrated, and you're now going along with some things that don't make any godly sense. Slaves did not have the option to quit working. They did not have the option to change jobs. They did not have the option to say, take this job and shove it. They did not have the option to take coffee breaks. And they did not get bonuses. And they did not get, all the things that you get while working. If you are working, you agree to that job. It was a voluntary, you applied and you said, I'm willing to do this job for this amount of money. And you decide how much you take in that job, how much you take from your boss or whatever. But for y'all to keep letting white folks make it seem like people that come to, they got white Hispanics that come to this country and agree to work for $2 a day, or $2 an hour, or $2, a barrel, or whatever the situation. It is still them agreeing to do work at that amount. And at any point, they can say, I don't want to do this anymore. Or at any point, they can take whatever they've made so far and go on to the next thing. So stop letting them equate people being here, white Hispanics being here illegally, and choosing to work for less money because they're trying to stay under the radar. Stop letting them equate that with slavery, because they actually are trying to diminish the effect that slavery actually had on black people. You need to make sure that those organizations like the ACLU forever trying to diminish the impact that slavery had on black people. Y'all need to send letters to the ACLU to cease and desist, just like they send letters to other people to cease and desist. And you got your organization need to start sending letters to them to cease and desist them equating that, because they are insulting the black community when they say things like that. Okay? But you have organizations that are trying their very, very best to work with black children, black seniors, increase black education, all these different things. But not only are they having to fight the white system that's trying to keep them from changing things. But they end up having to fight those 98% of black organizations that are getting funding from the very people that are causing those issues in the black community. So you have a black organization, and they get their funding from a white television station or white news network. They're not going to be out there with you protesting the killing of black children, even if they find out that the media, the white media, is instigating the situation. When you got black organizations that have teamed up with white police officers and white police agencies, you're not going to see them out there with you protesting the things that white police officers are doing to the black community. You're not going to see them demanding that white police officers cease and desist and leave black communities, and that black communities be protected by those of their own. You're not going to see them doing that because they're technically in bed with the very people that are pulling up in unmarked cars. And you guys, I've told you already, all you have to do is sit back and watch. You'll see police officers pulling up in unmarked cars and opening up the trunk, and gang members being able to purchase or just get all of the weapons that they need for these gang wars. Many of the weapons that you find in a gang member's hand came from police lockup. Those weapons have been used many times by many different crimes, and police officers simply steal them from police lockup and resell them to gang members to keep the gang situation going and to give black folks to kill up more of each other. But the fact that they're able to be doing this on a daily basis, on a regular basis, and your organization is not out there stopping it, means that you're part of that 98% that have become completely ineffective. And even the fact that you're not discussing it. I hear you talking about all kinds of stupid news stuff that comes up like it's just the end of the world. But I rarely hear black organizations talk about the guns that white police officers are putting out on the streets. Y'all talk about it. You got some of the Black Power organizations that talk about it in debates with each other and in different comments and stuff with each other. But as far as dealing with actually monitoring who these police officers are that are doing this and making sure that you are actively every day working to put a stop to it, that's something that your organization needs to correct. You need to do a better job of that, because police officers are not hiding it. They literally will pull up in front of a liquor store or in front of a restaurant, and you see them actually opening up their trunk. And people walk by and act like they don't see it. Y'all need to start paying attention to this stuff, okay? Because otherwise, there's no reason for your organization to exist. If all you do is 86% of the time, you're trying to get money, and the other 10% of the time, you're meeting just to be meeting, and the next thing you know, you're hooking up with white folks and talking about global warming and animal rights and environmental issues and all kind of craziness. And as much as I like fruits and vegetables, well, I'm not particular about vegetables, but I have to have them. But I've got used to vegetables. As much as a person may enjoy those things, that's not more important than children killing each other in the street. I know you white folks have made you believe that it's more important. It doesn't matter what that child ate if that child is dead at 16. Okay? It doesn't matter whether they ate a burger or whether they ate a salad if they're dead at 14. Okay? And you can say all you want to. You can regurgitate the things that white folks say about the fact that that black children are killing each other because the amount of sugar that they take in. And I'm looking at y'all like y'all crazy as all get out. Those people used to put a half a pack of pure grain sugar into Kool-Aid. And they usually had more than one big giant cup of Kool-Aid. Children had all kind of sugar. People used to actually eat sugar cane. I mean, just chewing on it. Children used to have their pies and cakes and all kind of stuff. They used to get penny candy, and they've done a lot of it. And they wasn't killing each other in the street. See, y'all need to stop. Y'all really, really need to stop. As an organization, even as individuals, y'all need to stop with some of this crazy stuff y'all regurgitating from white folk. Okay? Sugar is not the reason that children are killing each other. White police officers and white-owned entertainment industry, entertainment labels are the reason that children are killing each other. Those are the number one and number two reasons. Black children have been poor. Quit saying it's poverty. Black children have been poor forever. Well, not forever, but I'm just saying, and under the domination of whites, black children have been poor forever. That does not make black children kill each other. Black children have had to deal with being, with single mothers. Y'all keep talking about single mothers this and single mothers that. Black males used to be lynched in trees, leaving 13 children to a single mother. And them children weren't killing each other. Y'all need to stop. Okay? You need to just stop and think about some things. Not knowing, by not thinking about the history of your people, even the recent history, you guys sound crazy saying that a single mother, yes, it is ideal for a mother and father to be able to be together and raise their children. But women have been losing their men since the first slave ship landed on black land. Okay? And women have done a very good job of trying to keep those children together. And for you guys to say that being a single mother is what's causing this makes you guys sound crazy. Because women have had to be single mothers for many, many centuries under the slave trade. And they've done okay. Yes, it tears the hearts of the family apart when a black man is lynched. Whether he's lynched in a tree, whether he's lynched by a bullet in the street, or whether he's lynched with white folks taking him into the prison industrial complex. Either way, that family has to make do without those black males. and they make do. So stop saying that it's single mothers that is causing this situation. Absent fathers. Just because a father is not there does not mean that that child is going to be killing somebody. They'll need to quit. There are plenty of black males that were raised by their mothers that became educated. There's as many educated black males from single mothers as there are black males out there acting a fool with single mothers. Y'all need to quit. The data does not support the stupid stuff that y'all saying. It just doesn't. There are plenty of educated children. Probably more of the children if you take all of the children that were raised by single mothers, there are more that are educated and doing okay than there are those acting a fool. You just get to see the ones acting a fool more often because people are forever showing you the ones acting a fool, and the ones acting a fool are loud and noticeable. But when you ride on a train and you see, 50 black children and 45 of them are just riding the train and, going wherever they're going, and 5 of them are acting a fool, don't make it seem like, half the children are acting a fool. It's not half. The data would not support that. So it may feel like half because those 5 are getting on the nerves. But as an organization, it is your responsibility to make sure that accurate information about the black community is always being put out there. Accurate information. There's a bunch of people out there whose job it is to put out inaccurate information in order to make the black community appear inferior, feel inferior, or be inferior. It's your responsibility to say, wait, Now, if you see something that is a statistic or a study or whatever, by all means, post it, share it, put it out there so other people can see it, so that other people can give the information needed to correct it. Just because it's incorrect doesn't mean you don't share it. Doesn't mean you don't put it out there. People need to know what's being said about them so that they can correct that and make sure that the correct information is attached to it. If there's a study that says that black males are this, or 50% of black males are that, and you have information that says it's only 5%, or it's only 6%, then put it out there, post it, and then put the correct information attached to it so that people can see what is being said and then see what the truth is. Okay? As an organization, that's your responsibility to make sure that the black community always knows what's really going on. And unfortunately, if you spend 86% of your time chasing money and another 10% of your time just meeting, y'all got a 1 hour meeting that end up lasting 4 hours. If you are not able to go through your agenda in 1 hour and spend the next 3 hours out there fixing things, you have become ineffective. Okay? It's as simple as that. Your organization has become ineffective. And the individuals in your organization have allowed themselves to be pulled into an ineffective situation. And those that are frustrated in your organization need to leave. They don't have to, quit your organization, But they need to they need to be like, throw up their hands, be like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. You guys are not wasting any more of my time. I'm going out there to talk to these children. And as an individual in an organization, it is your responsibility to make sure that that organization is effective. If they are not willing to listen, then you need to let them know, I am leaving because you guys are not willing to listen on how to become more effective. And it is a waste of my time to continue trying to get you guys to listen. I'm going to go out there and show you how we can be more effective. Don't just sit up there arguing with people. But let them know. I'm going to go out and show you. I'm going to go out and do what I'm telling you we need to do. And I'm going to show you how we can be more effective. And those, make a challenge to them. Those of you that see it and decide that you want to join me, or decide that you want to participate as well, you'll know where to find me. That's a challenge that lets the other individuals in there, even if the organization itself does not do anything, it allows other individuals in that organization to decide to be more effective themselves. And if enough people in that organization decide to be more effective, that organization will have no choice but to change. Okay? So, I hope that helps you guys a little bit as far as creating a more effective organization. Because right now, you got 10,000 organizations in each of these different cities and whatnot. And it doesn't make any sense, the stuff that's going on in Black communities. If you have an organization and there's 1,000 members, and only 10 of those members are actually effective, then those 10 members need to actually start an organization of their own out there being more effective. And to help you guys understand the whole nonprofit thing, no organization should be 501c3. No Black organization should be 501c3 nonprofit. Not a single one. Because what that means is that you are going to the same government, the same white people. And remember, the government is not a person. A government is made up of people. And in this case, you are going to white people and saying, will you please give us the money that we need, or give us the tax credit that we need in order to stop you from taking advantage of our Black communities. That's how crazy you are as an organization when you do 501c3. That is what you're saying. You fill out that application, you hand it to white folks, and you say, please, Massa Sir, or please, Mistress Ma'am, will you please give us the funding, the money, or the tax relief, the tax, the tax deductions, the tax credits, the tax freeness that we need in order to stop you from enslaving and dominating our Black communities. How crazy is that? Not one Black organization should be 501c3. So you say, well, what should we be? You should be not for profit. Now, you got white folks white IRS agencies, whatever, began in 1970. I told y'all a lot of stuff happened in 1970 when they knew y'all was going to start moving and shaking. You have some that started, back in 1900s when black folks started moving and shaking. But in 1970, they stepped up their game. They're trying to keep y'all distracted and confused. In 1970, they switched out. They dropped some things that you guys needed to know, some phrases you needed to know. Non-profit and not-for-profit used to be two separate things. And I want you guys to understand that they still are. It's just that white people try to get you guys to forget about not-for-profit and come to them for funding. And they put all kinds of little golden carrots and dangling carrots in your face to get you to do it. Not-for-profit means that if you make $1 million, you file taxes. File your tax papers. That's all 501c3 is about, is getting you the people that do it, the organizations that do it, don't want to have to file taxes. You still have to file tax papers. You have to file a 941s. You still have to file. You didn't stop anything. They say, well, they don't want to pay taxes. If you do it correctly as a not-for-profit, you still don't have to pay taxes. And you get to keep your black pride. With not-for-profit, you make $1 million in funding or selling stuff or whatever you do, and you spend $1 million in the black community doing the programs that you choose to do. At the end, you have made no money. You made no profit. Every year you make no profit. You keep none of the money. And you have been 100% effective in the programs that you did without selling your soul to white folks and to white agencies. Y'all got to start thinking of this stuff more clearly. Every single black organization should be not for profit. Everything that you make, every dollar that you make, goes back into your community, into the black community. And at the end, you have made no profit, so you owe no taxes. It's as simple as that. And the fact that there are not more black organizations explaining this stuff to you, if you don't know it, then that's something that can be excused. But the fact that they're not explaining this stuff to you is what is a crying shame. They quick to tell you to become 501c3, but they're not explaining to you what that does to your organization, what that does to your soul. So 1,000 black organizations start, and the first thing they do is fill out that paperwork to beg whites to give them the money that they need, or the tax relief that they need to get white folks to stop enslaving and dominating black folks. And white folks know you sound crazy, but they give it to you because it's control. You're just giving them control over your organization. So when you got homosexuals or white folks or whoever want to join your organization, all they have to do is pull that card. If you don't, we'll snatch your 501c3 and you'll owe taxes. Okay? That's the weapon that they use against you. 501c3 is not a tool for black organizations. It is a weapon that is used against black organizations. And y'all gotta get to the point where y'all understand that. Every single organization, if you decide to become more effective, the first thing you need to do is give up that 501c3 and become not-for-profit. Okay? So, I hope that clarifies that part as well. Okay? But I'm going to lay myself down for a little bit so that I can venture out and actually talk to the children on Coleman and see what's going on in their little lives. But y'all know how we do it. If we're still here the next time, we're gonna deal with something. Okay?